This fence show, there's so much more energy, so much more passion. Even last night at the kickoff party, there was so much energy in there.
I'm in Vegas, baby.
So we're in the middle of the desert at the fence show. This is the very first fence show that there has ever been. The FWA, Brian Frederickson, the Las Vegas fence team put this show on.
It's definitely a different vibe. I think everyone feels a little more comfortable.
If you look around, you'll see there's still people going to the booths, and there's just so much interaction. It's just crazy.
Who's excited to go inside? See you.
That's Shawn King taking a deep breath.
It just happened.
When was the last one?
I don't remember. Yes! I've been talking or texting or emailing nonstop.
We're both busy. I'm at the Women of FWA booth. He's at his booth.
I don't know if he just exists on pure energy. I actually think there's probably 2 or 3 like lookalikes of Shawn.
You never know where he's at. He's running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
But what has happened is an enormous amount of intentional time spent with people that are living and breathing in the fence industry.
And so this is just part of being plugged in.
To be a part of something and not exclusive but inclusive, so everybody could come together.
From the anxiety of getting here and getting all of the people that we brought in the right spot, focused on getting these builds, these booths up.
There's headaches and stress. Just trying to figure out who's running this thing and at what time they're going to do it.
Shit happens.
Oh, well, I can tell you the most difficult part is setting up Mr.Fence Academy's booth.
The Fence Games is basically like the Olympics of fencing.
The fence games is the benchmark in fence. It's the only thing that there is that other fellow fencers can come together and they can really measure themselves out and see who is the king of fence, right? This is becoming something that people are looking forward to, you know?
It is everything from, wire stretching and bias cutting, which it's also owning your hole, it's digging your holes, it's also nailing pickets, it's also doing layouts. It's really, the reason I say Olympics is because it's kind of a wide range of skill sets that are typically required when building fence.
I gotta tell you something, one thing I've seen is, it's not always how fast you fence, but it's how well you fence fast. So if you think you're a great fencer, but you've never been on the stage of the fence games, the fence show, we don't really know. That's just a self-proclaimed thing. Out here, we are literally giving out titles and medals to people that can build fence fast and well.
I literally just talked to a guy. He's always been against what he's heard, but he actually got there, met with the team. We're demoing these tools. We're talking to him about the processes, and he literally bought a tool, changed his mind, became positive in the industry.
Here we are on Friday. This is 5 days, 6 days of being in Vegas. It's been a whirlwind so far, right? So it's like the feeling I have right now being Friday is, oh man, it's over too fast. Like, I'm not tired, I'm not exhausted. There's so many people I want to go talk to and network. There's so much still to be done. Maybe I didn't talk to enough people, which is hard to believe. Or my energy level and passion right now and excitement is so high that it has trumped the feeling I would normally get of exhaustion. Get this wrapped up, relax a little bit, enjoy Vegas. I haven't seen much of Vegas, and I'm really looking forward to going to Arizona, where I haven't really been since I grew up, and see where we started this journey, really, and kind of look back and go back to the old high school and see some old friends and put this in perspective of where we are now and how blessed I am to be where I am. Welcome to Arizona. I don't know when I got there what to expect, but I was quite surprised. Here's the scary part right here.
Yeah, this is Eli.
Nice to meet you. It's my pleasure. Dan.
This is Travis.
The trip back through Seminole, Arizona was an opportunity to go back and just see how it felt to be back there, see what it was like, see how much of it has changed. Because I feel like that a lot of my life has changed since then. I want to kind of really reflect on possibly what other changes happened there. Did it change without me? Is it still the same? Those are things I wondered about.
It's pretty awesome there, girl.
Yeah, it doesn't suck.
No, it doesn't.
Sure.
The rays already coming over.
Mountain.
I'm sure if you asked him, with him working so much, I'm sure he never thought he would be here.
Through some bad times, some things happened. We lost the house we were living in. And for survival, my mom and her husband, my stepfather at the time, had the opportunity to move down to Seminole, Arizona on a piece of property. I remember we arrived to the property after this long journey of broke down vans and motorhomes, and we have 5 kids. So I guess I missed the detail that there wasn't a house. Yes, it's a big property. Yes, it's 8 miles down a dirt road, and yes, there is lots of room to ride a motocross. But what there wasn't is a bathroom, bedrooms, kitchen. There was a well pump house made out of concrete block walls, had a roof over it. We're probably talking 15 foot by 20 foot square. That summer, we had to try to build and facilitate some sort of living space. In my freshman or sophomore year, the neighbors, Scotty and Margie, they had a trailer like this. I wonder if this is the one. 'Cause I thought I was really moving up in the world when I was sleeping in this thing compared to that car. Oldsmobile I slept in was actually in this area right here. Oh my goodness. This is exactly the way it was. There's still no doors inside. There's still wood stove for heat. It almost like nothing changed. This was our room. The stars are still in the ceiling. But this wasn't here when we first moved in. We had to build this.
Oh.
Wow, look at you.
Okay. Shawn.
Yes. Good to see you, Grandpa.
I can tell by your mouth this is Shawn.
It's been a long time.
Oh, man, has it been a long time. This is Travis.
Because there were 13 of us kids. We were a poor family, no income, except for we could dig out of the ground.
How creative we can get when you don't have shit. Yeah, if you need to.
Get something done, you can figure out a
We'll
way.
figure it out.
One thing that really stuck out to me when I went back to Arizona was, like I mentioned, a lot of the stuff had not changed. I was happy. There's nothing fancy inside the house. There's nothing, hey, check this out. Look at this painting. Look at this couch. Look at this table. Look at this floor. Look, none of that. What it was a lot of smiles, great conversation. And as we ate dinner and there's animals running around the place and we're sharing a small space, I was like, wow, I want more of this. We got done eating dinner and immediately Uncle Ray's wife picks up the guitar, I think it was, and just starts strumming on the guitar. We're all sitting there. Next thing I know, everyone's singing and playing music, and I'm like, there's no radio. We're not listening to Jelly Roll concert or watching a TV. No. Jeez, less is more, right? There's some great things that come from that. And to slow down sometimes, and I find myself making everything perfect in my life. Like things that I want to show off to people. Oh, look at this new patio we put, the furniture we put out, or this whatever the tangible pieces are. That doesn't actually bring the true joy of just having people come together. And having them come together is irrelevant, whether you have a nice dining room table or a beautiful couch to sit on or an awesome basement. Like I have all that stuff, and we have less of these opportunities, but it's not a daily routine where we're socializing with each other. Need more of that.
So life is the train. Trains operate on tracks. And there is a predetermined track already set up. There's some changes in it. We can adapt to that a little bit, but there's tracks. It's very difficult to change the direction of the train or stop the train, right? Or even speed the train up. The engine is the future. It's tomorrow. The caboose is the past, right? It's yesterday. The present is where you're sitting, where your ticket is on the train. Right now, that's your ticket, that's your seat. The view is different in all 3 of those spots. When you're at the front of the train, you have all the controls, all these lights. You can see the tracks ahead of you. You see what's coming up. You can see a car on the track. So you start pulling brakes and the train's not stopping, is it? Nope. No, it's real slow. So you build anxiety. Because you want to control this train, you're trying to control this train, it's not turning left, it's not turning right, and it's sure as heck not stopping fast enough to hit that car. You shouldn't have been in the engine room. Go to the caboose, and what happens in the caboose? You sit back there, and all you're doing is watching great memories and bad memories fade away. You cannot change any of them. So what happens is some live in depression, some live in denial. Both happen in the caboose. But if you would just keep your ass in your seat and look out the window, that's the present, and enjoy the show of life.